I decided I'll make a second video, kind of a 2-for-1 here. Give you my little update video, so I figure I'll get into the next portion of it. It's a little messy in here tonight, and I don't quite have the camera at the same angle it normally is. But yeah, I've got some stuff from Christmas I gotta fix. It fell off the shelf, so that's a little bit messy. I've got some printer tools and nonsense on the desk, so it's not quite where it is when I do a show. Got a million bolts here every time I do an update on the printer, which is that machine back behind us. You can see the spool back there. It's actually printing something right now. We've got some cool projects out of it. So those of you that are wondering what's going on with Rhino, well, Rhino's been busting his ass for the last year. And that's part of what I'm doing this little touch base video. But some cool things have come out of it. So this is my latest project that I did. 3D printed that. It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 filament changes on this one. Fully articulated, prints right off the bed like that. Pretty impressed with that. I've also done some other project. If you follow me on Facebook, which I said I was going to delete, but now I got to watch for some other stuff because it sounds like there's going to be some interesting news there. There was an update just in the last couple hours where Facebook put a note above your profile picture right at the same time that TikTok did. So I got to see what happens there. I got to follow current events, and unfortunately it looks like I can't rage quit like I wanted to because I got to figure out what's going on. I feel like I'm naked. Don't have the watch on. It's been charging. Yeah. So I've done some cool projects, way cooler than this. This is just, it's printed, it's done. I guess if there is something cool to say about it, is that it is transparent filament. You can kind of see that on the camera there. So, the way the light hits it is pretty cool, right? Anyway, I won't spend any more time on that. Put that guy back on the shelf for now. But, yeah, I just want to touch base. So, this time last year, around this time last year, I would say November last year, I found out some really bad news. And that's where this channel started falling apart a little bit. I'm sure you noticed. Videos were fewer and maybe not as good. Some of them were top-notch for where we were progressing. Some of them were kind of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And there was a reason for that. There was a lot going on. So for those of you that are uninformed and want an update, I lost my contract. The one that I moved all the way south, 2 hours away from where I was living, was bought up by a corporation. I had 14 days notice. I had to find work. I threw a Hail Mary pass. I did find work with a company that, just to put it short, I ended up not seeing eye to eye with the staff and the management there. They did their bullshit reasoning as to why they wanted to give me shit, and I realized it was bullshit, and so I made them go through the paces because I knew where it was going. And for a short time, I did get a government check, if you catch my drift. I made them go through the paces. I wasn't going to quit. I refused to quit. If you're going to write me up on some bullshit, I'm going to make you fucking go the extra mile, because it was fucked. It was basically a game of favorites, and I wasn't one of the douchebags. That's the best way to put it. It was a bunch of Chad bros that only cared about sports and knew every player on every team that was ever going to get drafted into every other team, and it just, the culture there was so fucking toxic. And then I come in, you know me, I'm a little bit, I don't dress like fucking I'm on a golf course, or, wear polos, and these guys, they just, it just sucked. It just sucked. It was a really shitty experience, because you could definitely tell that if you're not part of the old boys, They're a bunch of fucking kids too. That's what was stupid. Most of them were Gen Z. Whatever. I digress. But if you're not one of them, they didn't want any part of you. I did my job. I did it well. Regardless of what they fucking had to say. I did my job. So it was bullshit performance reviews. They'd set me up to fail. I'd still succeed. So then they'd set me up to fail even more. They'd put me in situations that they wouldn't put any of their other staff in. And they just were nitpicking at everything they could that they would never do themselves. They would never put themselves in the position they put me in. And then they would performance review it. So they'd have me managing the entire state where everybody else was just managing a town or two. And if I failed to reroute all of my drivers, which I thought was completely fucking unfair, because some of these drivers, they'd make them work 12, 13, 14-hour days, driving to Timbuktu and back. It was shady's not even a good way to explain it. If I was a driver there, I would have rage quit. It was a toxic environment to work for. That sounds cliche to me, whatever, but I'm not gonna name the company, but not a good place to work. So I took the government check because, like I said, you're not gonna make me quit. You're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do it the hard way. I refused to quit. So I took that, but I wasn't planning on sitting there and just collecting. I started doing crazy amounts of interviews every day. I had a notebook somewhere. I probably already threw away the pages, but I had a notebook where I'd write down interview at this time, interview at this time, interview at this time. Sometimes I was doing 5 interviews a day for some pretty terrible jobs, by the way. Very low paying. And the high paying ones ended up mostly being like fake. It's really bad out there. I'll give you that. That's not the point of the video. It's not to whine and cry and tell you all the negatives. But I hit bottom. And I've been lower. I've hit a bottom way lower than this. And that's actually kind of the irony of the story here and the purpose of this video. So, about 8 years ago, I had some pretty terrible shit happen to me. Some of you know. I've talked about it on Mando's show. I've talked about it on Pop show. I think I've talked about it on my show. I don't really like talking about it because it's just a really shitty situation, but I went through hell and back meeting the wrong woman, right? And it landed me in a pretty tough spot. And it cost me my job. It cost me a lot of things. It cost me pretty much everything I had. Like, that was bottom. And I had to climb my way back up. I used my business license from years before to do that. I had to get really fucking smart really fast and learn another way to make money using my business to contract. And that went well for a while until what I told you with the corporation and then where this landed. Well, 8 years later, out of, let's just say, I wouldn't say sheer desperation, but a little bit of, I got to make a Hail Mary pass here. It's fourth quarter, there's 2 minutes left, I'm running out of time, and bills are coming due, including rent, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I went back to my old company, and I talked to him right after that contract dried up, the 14 days left to find a job. And I said, you got anything full-time that would pay, a good amount of money? They said, no, man, we only got part-time, and it only pays like $14 an hour. I'm like, that ain't gonna work. So I declined. And then after this other job, I basically made them performance review me the hell out of there, which is fine. That's their choosing. It was funny because right after that, they offered the other guy that was pretty close to me, they offered him like almost 6 figures to stay with the company. He said, nah, bro, and ditched him, and he's doing better now. And then they termed another guy that they had there for like 2 years. And I found out that they're cycling through people. Pretty shady, but whatever. Toxic management, high turnover rate, you know how it goes. Anyway, so I went back to that company again after, I think, 2 months taking the government check, which, by the way, I paid into. It's unemployment. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And I went back to the company and I said, hey, I talked to one of the guys at the local stores here, and I said, dude, you got anything? I know we talked before, but you got anything? And he's like, no, man. And as I'm walking out the door, he says, do you want to be a general manager? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I can't go into too many details about it, just for reasons that, I'm not going to name the company, even though some of you know. That's fine if you know, but I'm not going to name them. But I said, sure. So I spent the last 9 months, which is why I've been scarce here, and why you haven't seen me, especially for the last 4. I spent the last 9 months learning everything I could, working my ass off, working hard. Some of the stuff I still struggle with to this day, today. But I spent the last 9 months as a general manager in training. And it was tough. I'm not going to say it was the hardest job in the world, but there was a lot of pressure. In the last week, I was interviewed by 3 managers, 3 district managers, and I kid you not, the vice president of operations. And I had to go through all of those interview questions and answer the best I could. And I interview like shit. I do. I am not good at interviews. I don't know how to speak the way that other people do. I guess I don't have that sophistication. I will say I cannot tell you any details about the company, any policies, any specifics. I won't do that. But what I will tell you is that I fought my way there. There were 5 people in the running, including myself, and I was the only one that made it. I got the news yesterday, last night, that it was official. And not only was it official, but it was a bump past a GM1 position, which is the first level. Basically, you go GMIT, GM1, GM2, GM3, and on, district manager, and up from there, right? I got immediately placed in a 2, and the salary is a lot more than I was expecting to be offered. Is it life-changing? Yeah, slightly. I mean, it's not going to buy me the Buckingham Palace, but it is definitely going to make life more comfortable. What you guys don't understand is the last 9 months, I also used my credit cards. I paid to work. The reason for that is my job was out of town, and it wasn't paying me nearly what I was paying when I was doing the contract job. And what that means is when I was living up north, I was living in a big city. In that big city, I started accumulating big city bills, big city problems. You get comfortable, you're making a certain amount of money, and your bills go up. Lesson learned on that. I've definitely learned to stay on the poor man's budget when I make more money now. But that's something I had to learn, because I had more money than I ever had before, and I got a little bit too comfortable with that. And then one day I woke up and I had no money. And so when I took the job offer as a general manager in training, it was far lower than I needed to pay my bills. So I ended up using my credit cards to drive there and back every day for 9 months, to supplement some of those bills where I was running short, to make it. What I was offered is going to pay off those bills in the next few months. Easy. As long as I buckle down and I stay within my budget. I guess the point of this video is, life isn't just, simply a climb to the top, right? It's more like a roller coaster. You're going to have good times, you're going to have bad times, and then good times again, maybe worse times, and then maybe even better times. But it's a roller coaster. And I guess what I want to point out more than anything is that 8 years ago, 8 years ago, when I lost that job and everything else happened, and some of you guys, like I said, know, especially those of you who support me. 8 years ago, I almost made a permanent decision. I was really close to making a permanent decision. And had I done that, I wouldn't have had to have struggled. I wouldn't have had to have gone through the mud, which the last few years after that was definitely the mud. I had to crawl through it. I had to eat a lot of shit along the way, too. Like, crawl through the mud and eat shit while I was going. But now I'm managing in the same company that I lost my job at when shit hit the fan. Gentlemen, ladies, any of you watching, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I'd be sitting here talking to you guys, which, by the way, I never thought I'd have a show this successful. Is it millions of views? No, but I have a dedicated audience. I've formed friendships from this, real friendships. I met some of you in person. 8 years ago, thought my life was over. I thought that was the end. And here I am today, making more money than I've ever made in my adult life. And that's, I've made more, but that was before expenses, $10.99, and you're driving 250 miles a day, wear and tear on the vehicle and gas. So what I thought I was making was like half, right? Maybe not half, but a lot less than what I was actually making after expenses. But today I got offered, or last night I got offered, substantially more with no expenses than I've ever made with expenses. And 8 years ago I would have told you, you're out of your mind. Look at what you're going through. Look at your situation you're in. That's never going to happen. Matter of fact, you'll probably never have a chance at that. You better just suck it up and do the best you can. Just take whatever comes your way and deal with it. But I fought my way back. It was an 8-year battle. It was a detour. And, is it the glitziest, most glamorous job in the world? No. I mean, you don't see me with a top hat and a suit, right? I don't know if that's the route I'd go if I was ever a millionaire. But you get my point. But I worked for it. I fought for it. And that 8-year detour, I didn't know exactly where my destination was going to be. I still don't know where my destination is going to be. I'm still on that journey. But I had to fight every single day to get back from rock bottom to where I am now. And I encountered some pretty wild stuff along the way, right? Some interesting business ventures that didn't work out. Some relationships that I learned a lot from. Friendships came and went. Lost a pet along the way that I had for 13 years. That was rough. Lost a lot of family members in that time, almost all of them. It was a rough ride, and this is just me being honest with you. It's the most. It's the most. Don't know the best way to put it. It's the most raw I've been with you in a long time. Do I look tired? Yeah, I'm fucking tired. I am tired. I just spent the last week cramming a year's worth of information into my brain, and being coached and helped and pushed through several interviews, several long nights, several early mornings, not to mention getting thrown into a situation where I'm just running a store and just hanging on by the skin of my teeth, getting the results that I needed because I wanted the results that I got, and I got them. But I had to do it all that Sorry about the beeping, guys. I gotta fix a backup battery. I had to fight my way there, and I made it. And I got that call. I genuinely haven't been that happy in a long time. You know, it's dopamine rush. It's fleeting. It comes and it goes. But the weight that I've been carrying the last 8 years, that weight just... Am I going to still have a lot of struggles going forward? Yeah, I got a lot more responsibilities now too. And I got a lot more to prove. But I fought my way here. So, sorry about the beeping again. I wish it would shut up. I'm going to end this video soon anyway. I guess the point of this video, one, was a touch base with you guys, but two, I know you hear it a lot. It sounds cliche. Never give up. Keep on fighting. Blah blah blah. But I mean, I'm proof. I'm right here. I got you guys because I didn't give up. I've got the job I have now because I didn't give up. I've got everything you see around me because I didn't give up. I've got a brand new car, fucking 2024 car. Granted, maybe that's stupid. I shouldn't have paid for a new car. I'm still paying for it. But I've got so much that I didn't have 8 years ago. 8 years ago, I was driving beaters. 8 years ago, I didn't have any of this. And I lost everything I did have. 8 years ago, I had this show, but maybe 5 people watched every episode. Not the thousands of you that do watch. 8 years ago, I was sitting in the driveway flipping coins and thinking about very real-life, permanent decisions. 8 years later, I can't complain, man. 8 years later, I'm making my own hot sauces. I'm learning 3D printing. I'm doing a show with you guys. I'm a manager now. I'm a fucking manager now. Never been in that position before. It's humbling. I've always been the guy that has the boss. You know, even as a contractor, even as self-employed, you still have that contractor above you that you're taking the shit from. I've still got bosses above me. Don't get me wrong. But for the first time in my life, I'm in a position where I never thought I would be. And I never had the desire for. And I've been on the bottom, so I respect and understand the people below me, and I understand that they're not necessarily below me, but right beside me. I'm a part of that team. And they actually determine the success going forward. And how I treat them is a big part of that. And same here, right? You know, a big part of this show is you guys. It's not me. I'm just here, right? I just talk shit. Without you guys, the show's nothing. So that's it, guys. Just, I know I've done the whole don't give up crap before, but look where I am now. I mean, yeah, I look fucking tired. I am tired, like I said, but I fought, and I succeeded, and I'm way better off now than I was even 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 1 year ago, 8 years ago. I never thought I'd be here, and it's just because I kept on fighting. I got close, but I never gave up. I never refused to fight. I mean, like I said, I've done some cool projects. This little thing, right? 3D printed thing. I know I said I'd get off, but look at that. It holds little games. Isn't that cool? You know, everything I got here. I got you guys. Just don't ever give up, guys. Don't ever give up. That's it. That's it. I'll catch up with you soon. Again, to those of you that donated to the show this last couple weeks, thank you so much. It's meant a lot. And really appreciate all of you. But if any of you are going through a hard time right now, I didn't see myself here 8 years ago. No chance. No chance in hell. But I put one foot forward, and the other foot, and the other foot again, and the other foot, and I just kept on walking. I had to crawl for a while, finally got on my feet, had to walk. I wouldn't say I ever ran, I wouldn't say I ever sprinted, but I just kept walking. I just kept pushing forward. And every hill that got in my way, I got over. Every obstacle that was there, I got around or through. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'll get off now because the beeping is probably driving you all nuts. But thank you for being here, and stick around. Not here, not this show. Just stick around. Don't give up, and don't let life beat you down. Go out there and kick its ass. Alright guys, till next time.